Welcome, everyone, to the ABCD Institute Higher Education Story Sharing Series. My name is Kim Hopes, and I am the Assistant Director of the ABCD Institute Partnership at the Stain Center at DePaul University in Chicago. This series aims to provide a space for both sharing and learning how institutions of higher education are using ABCD methodology in their community and curricular work. Today, we will hear from several panelists focusing on how mindfulness and strength-based ABCD approaches can be adopted at various levels, as well as how ABCD relationships and practices are evolving with newer higher ed professionals. We will have three panelists present and then have an opportunity for you to explore questions around these issues in breakout rooms. The slides and the recording from this session will be made available to you on our YouTube channel about a week from now. And now I'd like to pass to Helen Damon Moore, Associate Director at the Stain Center at DePaul, who will be our very first panelist.
So I am Helen Damon Moore. I'm the one of the associate directors at the Stain Center, working primarily with faculty development, and I will let our other presenters introduce themselves as we go on. So today's agenda is, as I said, to look at higher education and ABCD newer in the context of a course that I taught last quarter called ABCD and Community Service, with the great help of some wonderful ABCD practitioners who are known to many in the Institute. And then to address briefly why a mindfulness ABCD blend. Then we will talk about new connectors and new practitioners through Mona and Anika's work. And then we'll do the interactive breakout rooms that Kim mentioned. And while this might not be the most mindful, have in the back of your mind these questions. How might intentional mindfulness practices deepen asset or strengths-based work? And how is ABCD being used by newer and younger practitioners? So these are meeting your presenters, and we'll flip back to the Mona slide when we go to my community partner, Mona Antoine, who is awesome. So if we could flip to the next. So this last quarter, 10-week quarter at DePaul University, where I am primarily an administrator, I had the good fortune to invent a course called ABCD and Community Service. And this course, I used an image that is a little bit different from ones I've seen of the glass half full, which could be viewed as a highball glass with vodka in it. I don't choose to see it that way, but to represent the fact that these were newer practitioners of ABCD who were doing it in perhaps new ways or newer ways that we've been seeing in more recent years. So instead of a neighborhood orientation, students in my class were using more of a mindset orientation. They were serving as connectors, or what Terry Bergdahl, as some of you might know, talks about a catalyzing role between the university and, in this case, Mindfulness Leader, which is an association. So an institution with an association. The course was based on a new text, which shrinks in size, the green book, but not its part and information, um, on connecting communities around the themes discover, connect, and mobilize. As Daniel, who's on this call, knows, that was our primary text. Mindfulness, I I will refer to the final two bullet points there in the next slide. So my course is based on the Buddhist principle, or my classes on tend yourself, you tend the world, you tend yourself, with the notion that this reflexive relationship is very important and not one that we always see in community organizing and students' lives, or maybe all of our lives. So the idea that many of us probably on this call is familiar with is the idea that being present in the moment without judgment is very leads to many benefits of mindfulness, and you can read what those are. And therefore, there are benefits of mindfulness and ABCD in higher education that I have seen, including deepening preparation for listening and engagement, being more genuinely present with people, really reducing fear of being present with people who are different, improved focus on the work, and learning and serving in a healthy way, preventing burnout. So, and I just wanted to highlight a few, and this is really for you to look at on your own. But we talk at the Stain Center at DePaul about allyship and advocacy, and I would say also along the discover lines, acquaintance, of just being acquainted with the community for students. And these are examples, especially those bolded, of community member DePaul student interactions and projects. And they are ones that informed my class in particular. And they are ones that I think could inform other courses as well in ABCD and community work and mindfulness. So those are my slides, and I have the great pleasure of sending it now to my community partner, who is a fabulous leader in the community, who works with mindfulness and with partners across the city of Chicago. So Mona Antoine, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Again, thank you, Helen, my amazing community partner at the Saint Center. My name is Mona Antoine. I'm the founder and CEO of Mindfulness Leader, serving the Chicago youth, high school students, and university students through our after-school programming, our daytime programming, and through our Mindfulness Leader app that's available to everyone around the world that's interested in mindfulness. What we are doing, our mission here at Mindfulness Leader is, it's really simple. We're just enhancing training and aligning young minds to aid the development of emotional intelligence, which is currently missing a little bit in society and especially in schools. So we're filling in the gap. We've developed these emotional skills for the youth, leadership methods. We are spreading our work through the community. We partner through Chicago Public Schools, organizations, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring peace and not to sound corny, light, which is something that is much needed right now. Myself included, if I'm not practicing these mindfulness skills, I'm feeling a little burnt out, to be honest. And so this kind of helps me. We are serving high school and university students, like I said. We have recently, as of January, instituted a new mobile app that is a great resource for our students and community members. It's great for in school and outside of school. It's a 200-hour curriculum for our teachers, our facilitators, and students. It's available on Google Play and the Apple Store. It's free, but if you're interested in the whole license package, please reach out to me. We also provide a training for it. Yeah, so how do we do this ABCD community service in our community? We partner with DePaul University. I'm a little biased because we've been working a couple of years, and every term we're trying something, and it's successful each time. I feel like we're pushing the needle. So we partner with DePaul. Each term looks completely different, which is exciting to me because I'm a creator. The Mindfulness Leader Program started with just one instructor, June of 2017. And during that program, I noticed that students wanted to lead and help other younger students. So I developed a model with Mindfulness Leader for college university students to teach younger students, like high school students and grammar school students. And I'm going to say this before Helen corrects me. I'm doing the training with these university students. It starts with me, and the university students are training the high school students. We currently have these programs running during the day and after school. Very successful. A great example of what we're doing is this partnership with DePaul universities, with college students cascading down to high school students. Save me your questions or send them in the chat. I'd love to connect with everybody, partner with everyone, and bring mindfulness to your university or your community. Please reach out. Thank you.
Anika, if you could share your, so we're moving now from Chicago to Pittsburgh, two of the finest cities in the country. And we really appreciate our partnership in this presentation with Anika Jones. So take it away, Anika.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, it's afternoon on my side of the timeline. My name is Nika Jones. I am the Senior Program Coordinator for Pathway Development at the University Educational Outreach Center in the University of Pittsburgh. So as you can see, I have a long history with the University of Pittsburgh. I got my Bachelor of Arts in Social Work, a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and a Master's of Education in Higher Education Management. I also have a history in community engagement and asset-based community development, which is why I'm here today. When I was an undergraduate student is when I was first introduced to asset-based community development. I was a community assistant for a place-based center at the University of Pittsburgh. I worked in the local community supporting their efforts and also supporting relationship building with a community partner. And when I graduated in 2019, I became the outreach coordinator for the University of Pittsburgh's Community Engagement Center in Homewood, a place-based center that was established in 2018. And so I did work through that place-based center. And then more recently, I transitioned to University Educational Outreach Center, where I work on developing programming to support historically underrepresented students to and through college. I operate and develop 4 pathway programs, as well as support a la carte opportunities, such as personal statement workshops, financial aid, etc., all with the purpose of supporting my passion for supporting students to and through college. So some of my key influences involve my formal social work education. So these things really shaped my asset-based community development perspective. Through social work, I learned concepts of strength-based perspective, both at the community level and the individual practitioner level. I learned about meeting people where they are. And then through being a community assistant as an undergraduate student, I was first formally trained in asset-based community development. Cultural humility, mutual reciprocity. It really helped orient me to a community perspective and how to engage in how we enter a community. And then also an influential mentor and supervisor really showcased to me the practical uses of asset-based community development, how that disposition when I was a community assistant was important. And then when she became my supervisor, continued to train me and train others on how to use it in a professional environment, how it influences the day-to-day. And then lastly, my community engagement professional experience, both as at a place-based center to eventually at a place, how to keep that orientation and perspective continue to develop. So at the place-based community engagement center, it was really the guiding framework. So it was traditional framework of asset-based community development. We focused on stakeholder relationship development, program development and implementation, and orienting university stakeholders to this framework. So through relationship development, really supporting mission, using it as in building partnership and trust with community partners, including them at every aspect and every level of program development, including finding ways for partnership in any program that was developed, also having the community really lead what types of programs were offered and implemented at the space. And when we're orienting stakeholders, so I was doing formal trainings, but then also informal redirection. So making sure when faculty were stepping into those community spaces, they were thinking about how they're approaching stakeholders, how asking, how are you including them, and sometimes having to start from the drawing board when it came to that. And so now I'm in outside a place-based environment. And so some people are like, well, how does that work with the asset-based community development framework? It's still the influential framework for our space. Our team still understands we still impact community. We are an institution existing within a community, and we are connecting with communities outside of our stakeholders, our university stakeholders, and having that impact. We focus on educational equity, and so educational outcomes are not the responsibility of one entity, but multiple influential entities, whether it's the K through 12 spaces, the schools themselves, or the outside community partners. So it's still impacting stakeholder relationship development, program development and implementation, orienting staff and student workers. And so continue to talk a little bit more detail about this. When we're looking at stakeholder relationship development, while it's similar and we're looking at supporting missions of community partners, it's really focusing on education and mission alignment. So as education focused, where is that the focus of the community partner we're working with? Also looking at making sure we're not replicating existing programs, but building upon finding ways that we can support their educational mission while sticking to our own mission of supporting students to and through college. And then inclusion. So stakeholders are included in their voices and spaces. While they're not a part of every single program, we're still seeking feedback and ways to connect with our partners, finding opportunities where there's crossover, whether it's one of our program events and including them. For instance, more recently, we hosted an event with the Black Student Union around finding community on campus. And one of our community partners was really looking for that opportunity for their students, especially since they go to schools that are predominantly white institutions. They really was looking for opportunities that support that. And so finding ways that we can connect that way. While we don't connect every program, that is one of the ways we do it. And then also empowering youth is one of the key tenets of our programming when we're looking more in the strengths-based perspective department there. So when we're doing advising with students on implementing and creating their post-secondary plans, when it comes to tutoring opportunities and orienting our staff and student workers, program engagement, we really want to find ways that we can empower youth through how we speak to students, how we create the templates around students. And so that also leads into orienting staff and student workers. So we still create a strengths-based perspective training. We orient our staff to cultural humility, mutual benefit, and reciprocity, because we're still entering student spaces. We are still interacting, engaging with community. And so we want to make sure that these tenets, these values to our team are also how we connect with others and connect with students. And so I believe that is my time, but feel free if you have questions about the Educational Outreach Center, I'll put our website in the chat and we'd love to connect. Thank you.
Great. So as we projected, we have some discussion questions, and we'd like you to get to know each other a little bit first. We haven't allowed you to chat to do that to introduce yourselves. So we'd like you to start with that, but also be mindful of time. We have 10 minutes or so for this, and we want to be really sure that we get a chance to pool the responses to these questions. And so the first one is about mindfulness practices and how they might deepen or might not strengths-based and asset-based work in either higher ed or programs or just neighborhood work. And what are the benefits and challenges of that? And then the same group will just keep you all together to address the second set of questions, which is how is ABCD being used by newer and younger practitioners? And we have in the new group not defined like 35 and below is newer, or there isn't a finite number for what newer means. But the reason for that question is that we don't want to see ABCD as it was originally created sort of fade into the background as some folks get older and its original practice not used. So we want to see it be a robust and evolving approach to community engagement and partnership and collaboration and change. So how can it be nurtured and furthered is the second question there.
Mhm.
So yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put you all in breakout rooms. I just want to let you know if you can have someone in your group who can hop on the Google Slides. I put the link in the chat and just type in some of your responses on these sticky notes. That would be great. And that way we can have a little bit of a recording of what you're learning and sharing in those breakout rooms.
And if you could appoint a recorder, we'll have about 5 or 6 people in a room, and we'd love to have your responses. We did try to leave time in this gathering for that really important feedback loop. So we also are saving the best for last in that we have a student who couldn't join us till later, but Maz Durrani is going to be joining us at the very end to talk about his own practice if he can make it from his prior engagement. So Kim, if you want to,
I'm going to send you all to rooms. And again, the questions are in those slides too. So you'll be able to have them at the top of the slides. Okay, off you go.
Are we back, Kim?
Yep.
Okay.
I think everyone is back.
Group one, what did you talk about?
Yeah, I can share back. I was kind of writing some of the notes. Yeah, I mean, we talked a bit about mindfulness helping us pay attention to what's already happening. So it can be really easy to get stuck in that kind of problem solving mode. So those practices that help us get present and help us notice what's already going on. That mindfulness practices are helpful for meeting young people, students, whoever's kind of involved in our projects where they are, and allowing kind of creating a space for folks to bring their whole selves to that space. And then we started to talk a little bit about some of the benefits and challenges. One of the benefits that Mercy and I have noticed is that when you ask folks to pay attention, get mindful about the experiences they've just had, you're more likely to hear good stories. Like there's more stories to share when you're paying attention carefully and thoughtfully and in the moment to what's actually happening, than trying like later on down the road to go, oh yeah, what was going on then? What was I feeling? How was I? So yeah, so that's kind of what we had.
Thank you. And extra points in heaven, I always say to those who report out. So thank you. Thank
Oh,
you,
good.
Nick. So group number 2, do we have a reporter there?
Yeah, I can chat real quick,
Okay,
Helen.
great. Thank you,
Yeah.
Anika.
So, no problem. So we just for a majority of the conversation, talked about the benefits of how slowing down can help discover individual talents and skills. You can build trusting engagement because you're pausing to consider. You're taking that time to really develop those relationships and also develop that time. And then also intentional program development. When you're developing programs and you're taking space to plan and not just implement, because in higher ed, we can just go. It causes us to help us pause. The challenge of that is finding the time. When we have grant season, when we're asked to implement something right away, that culture of productivity and how we define productivity sometimes can get in the way of taking that time to consider. And then last thing was just how early introduction into these perspectives is helpful, because then you're building that routine of taking the time to consider.
Yeah, Mona would approve of that. I think the earlier in the pipeline, the better. Yeah, that's great. Wonderful. Thank you, group 2. Group 3. Reporter. Beth, looked like you were.
We of course
leadership.
did not follow the rules. We did not pick a recorder. We did not take notes. Apologies, but we had a rich conversation. I feel very such gratitude that we were with Dr. Raymond. I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name, from South Africa. So part of the richness of our conversation was really considering the different cultural and historical contexts of our universities here in the United States as compared to universities and student contexts in South Africa. So that was very rich. I think we talked about developing more and richer scholarship and finding ways to really measure some of the positive outcomes of both integrating mindfulness in higher educational contexts, but also in applying an ABCD model in our community engagement. Talked about this sense, the importance of scholarship on a sense of belonging. And we talked about some of Mona and I were both in this group. So, we were just touting all the benefits of mindfulness for young people, but also saying that one of the challenges is, again, different contexts, young people who are really struggling with mental and emotional challenges in a world today that is just on fire. And also, what I was saying was this need for daily practice, or I believe in a need for daily practice. So how do we bring that to students, and what kind of daily practice is realistic to hope for?
And
Anything
if
else?
I could just add, my conclusion was bring mindfulness to your organization, not just for your students, but your faculty. Because if you're not practicing and you want to have your students practice, it's not going to work. It's kind of like we're all in it together and baby steps, Yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for not taking notes and giving such a complete report. Good job. Group 4.
So I think we're group 4. I can jump in real quick. We also did not take notes and just jumped in the conversation.
I've been writing
but-
my hand off, so, and we are recording, so we'll capture your wisdom that way. So thank you, Ashley, for sharing off the cuff.
Perfect. Thank you. So I was with Liz and Heba, and we discussed kind of the inclusion of mindfulness in the work. So Liz is working with faith-based organizations, I work with youth that are coming out of the juvenile justice system. So it has been just very apparent in all of those conversations. There's usually some pain, some hurt. So leaning into the ABCD concepts and identifying strengths instead of continuing to beat people down is just, it goes so far with the folks that we're serving. And in addition, being able to incorporate that mindfulness and helping people be in the moment, because a lot of times when you're dealing with pain or disengaged communities or underrepresented, misrepresented, whatever it is, there's some pain from the past. They're focused on what's going to happen in the future. So to really give space for, we're here right now, you're safe, let's get through it, and let's take the time to identify what you bring to the table. So we had a great conversation. It was wonderful. And I know Heba works with you all, so she was a wonderful addition as well.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you, Ashley. Really appreciate that. And yes, being there for ourselves and for these folks who are living in a post-pandemic world and worlds that were hard before that. And the complexities are just endless, I think. So we got to take care. Group number 5, and then I hope we can get Maz in here for a bang up finish. Jenny.
Sure. So I think our group, it's nice to kind of be closing us out because I think we talked about a lot of the same things that we heard from the other groups in terms of like strengths-based and assets-based work, really providing a framework for thinking about and engaging in mindfulness, and that there's an opportunity for some sort of mutually reinforcing activities there as we kind of do both of those things together. But we also talked about the challenge of, that work also slows things down a little bit. It takes time, and you have to make the space to do that work intentionally, and also the importance and value of kind of getting all players on board when you're doing that work, and making space not just, on one side of the equation, but for everyone to be part of it. And then we also talked a little bit about some of the just benefits. So doing this work in service sites can really help to open up space for people to learn about each other and to share stories. And I think we heard some really great insights from Maz about his experiences with that. So I'll open up some space for him if he wants to jump in on that part.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like as a brief introduction, my name is Maz Durrani. I'm a senior at DePaul, and I'm majoring in finance with a minor in community service studies. I'm also in the community service scholarship program, and I've been able to take the community service internship with Professor Helen in my junior year. So that kind of gave me an opportunity to use the last class, which would typically be the community service internship, for another year based off like the reflections I've had in the class and the high level things that we talked about for another year, which was my last senior year just now. And what I was able to take, especially coming from the aspect of mindfulness, was being able to go into my community service site, which is the Howard Area Clubhouse. The Howard Area Clubhouse is a youth community program in the Rogers Park, Chicago, so in the north side of the city. And I'm personally coming back as a mentor, whereas I was previously a student myself in high school. So coming back now as a mentor, equipped with all the things that I learned in the Community Scholars Program, has really helped me work with the students. And I think I've been able to give back so much to the community. I've helped out so many students. I've learned with them on one-to-one levels, on group levels. And I think when it comes to mindfulness, especially being able to learn that from the community service class with Professor Helen, I learned more about trying to take my perspectives and kind of looking on the outside of like seeing how my perspectives might differ from the students, how students come with their different backgrounds, and how all of that just kind of, blends together in the community service space, and, how that works with ABCD, because there are different assets in that community, in the Howard area community particularly. All the students have great talents. They all have different things that they love to do, but they also have different challenges. So that's important to recognize. And I think having mindfulness is a way you can do that, especially doing it yourself, but also trying to incorporate it in the program by asking the students to, get some time in before, the program begins, do a little bit of meditation and reflect on their day, and then ultimately kind of help them understand who they are as a person. So it's been a great experience as a community service scholar. This is my last quarter. So I'm gonna miss doing all this work, but I definitely will try to keep up with it once I graduate.
Just letting you see what Maz has taken away. And of course, I picked a star student, but they're all stars. And Maz is even more shining than many others. So Kim, I think we can go to the big screen. If this was our last slide, just to say we were sharing knowledge and just to thank you all for being here. We'd love to hear your stories about nurturing newer professional or newer ABCD community organizers or folks in the community you're working with, how you might use mindfulness, or if this has inspired any new ideas. And we will make the recording available and the slides available. And Kim is wonderful at that always. And we thank her for helping us technically, which is so huge to bring you this information. So thank you for being here and have a wonderful rest of your day, and be mindful and asset-based.
Thank you, everybody.
much.
So rich.
Good. Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye.